welcome to my little paintbrush. I'm so excited to be painting with you today. At home, I hope you have as much fun as I am having with this. And even though we're not in the studio together, please keep in mind that Miss Sarah's rules still apply. Remember that we are all unique and we create differently. That's what makes this world so beautiful. So be kind to yourself and enjoy the process. And let's get started. We're going to be painting Twilight Sparkle, which I love, Twilight Sparkle. And we're going to start with a flat brush. Looks like this. Any big brush will work though. We're just going to fill in Twilight with some purple to warm up our paint muscles. So I have on my palette right here all my colors. In your kit, you should have gotten all your colors, and I like to arrange them on my plate like this. That way they're all there for me, ready to go. I'm going to be mixing my purple and my white together for Twilight. We need to use a lot of white with our purple because it is translucent, which means you can see right through it. So let's take our big brush and loosen up the bristles in our jar. It's the very first thing we want to do. We're going to tap off the water very gently or wipe it on a napkin. Okay, and start mixing our paint. Let's do that. Let's get that paint mixed together. You can kind of decide how light or dark you want it, right? You are in charge of your painting. That's what makes creating so fun. We all see color a little bit different. So if you want your Twilight Sparkle to be lighter, just add a little more white. If you want her to be darker, add a little more purple. I'm going to save some purple though. I don't want to mix all of it because we're going to outline her later and we'll need that purple. Okay, I like that. Looks pretty good. So let's start by painting her head. Just up and down. Sometimes we're a little nervous to get started. You just have to go for it. And that's why I like to start with the biggest part first, because it gets our muscles going. Warms us up. And as I go around Twilight's eye here, I'm going to slow down because I really want to leave that eye as white as possible. If you paint some of the white eye, it's okay. It's not a big deal. But I'm going to try and leave as much of it white as I can. We're going to go right along the bangs here. Fill in all the space. And keep going around. You see how I'm using the toe of my brush right now? That is the tippy toe of my brush to get around that eye. Because that's a small area for a big brush, right? So I'm going to use the very tippy point of my brush to get around that. And up into the bangs. And it's okay if I go into my bangs a little bit because we're going to paint them blue here in a minute. And blue and purple are friends. So it'll be super easy to go right over that. Okay, there we go. Let's smooth out our paint. Now I'm going to go around my eye using the toe of my brush, trying not to pick up my brush as I go around there. All the way around. Okay, you see I went into my eye a little bit. I'm going to wipe up what I can. We're going to paint it white in a minute, so it's not a big deal. Okay, now we're going to paint the neck. Still going all the way around. Trying not to pick up my brush. All right, and see we're trying to smooth our paint as we go, right? We don't want any drips. So now I'm going to go around this side of my head. All the way around. I like to add a little bit of white to the center of my painting too, to brighten it up. That's kind of an extra thing, just if you want to. All right, once I have that, we're going to paint our ear. So I'm going to go right up here, fill in the ear. And here we go, we're going around an edge again. So I'm going to try not to pick up that brush. Okay, smoothly go around that ear. And brush out any little splotches of paint or drips that we may have gotten. And we're going to keep going around the side of my bang. Make sure we get that edge. Fill in that space. right. It's okay if your edges aren't perfect. You're going to outline her in a minute. We're just making sure we have all of this filled in for now. All right, looking pretty good. Let's do our neck. And you see here, this is her tail and her mane here, so we don't want to paint that. That's going to be a different color, right? So let's try really hard to slow down a little bit when we get close to that area of her mane so we don't paint it. Okay, here we go. We're going to carefully go around. And you did it. And right here we have a little bit of purple showing. So I'm using the toe again of my brush to get that part. Okay, and right here at the top, I'm going to come right around and fill that area in too. Okay. Looks good, guys. I'm going to put a little bit of white on there. I want to brighten up my purple. So as you go, if you want to brighten it, just add some white. Super easy to do. Just going to blend it in. Just keep painting over it until you love it. There we go. Okay. We have Twilight's purple on, and it looks awesome. Okay, so we're going to now rinse our brush again and get a new color. And remember, we need to rinse between colors really well, right? Because we don't want to mix them. Unless you do. Sometimes we want to. But this time, I'm going to rinse it really good because I'm moving on to a new color. So I'm going to make sure my brush is really clean. We're going to use the same brush for the next color. So my brush is clean and ready to go. I'm going to wipe it on my napkin. And I'm going to move on to the bangs. Okay, and this time I'm going to use blue. But I want to mix just a tiny bit of white with my blue, because the white helps our colors go on a little better. Okay, but I don't want a lot of white in there. I want this to be a dark blue. So I'm going to leave it just like that. It's just a tiny bit of blue with my white, or a lot of blue with my white, right? So we're going to now paint it in, and I'm going up and down this time because that's the direction I want her bangs. Okay. Now you notice your canvas ends right here. Okay, my canvas is bigger, so you don't see the end of it. But as I come right here to this end of my bangs, normally I would wrap my canvas around, so you'll paint the side of your bangs on the side of your canvas as well. I can't do that on mine, but if you want to reach around and paint the side of your bangs, you can do that. We love to wrap our canvases to finish our piece. So normally I would do that, but I'm going to finish it off right here like you are on the front of your canvas. We're going to paint up here. I'm trying to keep my brush movements going up and down here. I'm going to go up here, and see, here is our horn. I don't want to paint my horn, right? Not yet. So I'm going to come right down here next to my horn with my blue. There we go. Okay, there's a little tricky step we have to do here. I think you can handle it. So I'm going to paint all the way to here. And then on the other side of my horn, I am only going to paint to this very edge here, because we have some other colors to add, right, for Twilight? She has a red and a purple streak coming down right here. So I'm only going to paint right to that point, okay? You can end it wherever you want, because you can put that stripe wherever you want. This is just where I did it. So I'm going to stop right there at the edge of my horn and leave that part. Whoops, came in a little bit, and that's all right. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there and move on. Okay, same with right here. just going to stop right there at the edge of my horn and let it be. Okay. Now I'm going to switch over here and only paint this much. I'm making kind of a smiley face there. See that? Making a sideways smiley face with my brush. And all this is staying open because I want to put some highlights in Twilight's hair. So we're going to leave this space open for that. I'm just filling in her hair all the way around there and around her ear very carefully. See how this matches with that side? So you have a smile and a smile matching her ear. They kind of mirror each other. And then you can build on that and we'll add those highlights in a minute. Okay, I'm gonna come all the way over here and finish that bang right there. Gotta be real careful on that corner. Okay, looks pretty good. Fill it in all the way to the corner. All right, now that we have her bangs on there, make sure we have all the layers we want because once we move on, we're not coming back to her bangs, okay? So you wanna make sure you have the bangs covered just the way you want. And now we're gonna come down here and paint our tail. Okay, so I'm just gonna fill it in here. We're gonna start right here at her mane and follow that line around. And I'm gonna try really hard to keep my brush movements going the direction of her tail, like you're combing her tail with your brush. We're just brushing out her tail. And that way, all those brush strokes make it look like hair, which is kind of fun, right? Okay, so she has some of her tail, starts right here, and it comes around in a smiley face, right there along her mane. So I'm gonna add that next. Just did a little bit on the top, and now I'm adding a little bit of a smiley face there. Okay, the reason is I want to add some highlights to her tail. So once you've done that much, I want you to stop and just think about where are those highlights going to go. I'm going to put a red one right here and a purple one right here. And I want you to think about rainbow shape. So I'm going to come right here and do a rainbow shape of blue. And decide that this is where I want my highlights to go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and brush the rest of my tail in, keeping my brush movements going this direction, just like I'm brushing her tail, right? Keep our brush strokes going that direction. And I left that little spot for my highlights. Kind of tricky, right? I'm sure you did awesome. We're going to do the same thing here. So I've got to decide, where do I want my highlights to go? I'm going to put one smiley face right here and another smiley face down here. And I know I'm going to put my highlights right there in the middle. So I'm going to just paint the top part. And this time I'm moving my brush this direction, like I'm brushing her hair this way, so that her mane looks like it's flowing this direction, right? Okay, so just pretend you're brushing your pony's hair with a brush, with a hairbrush. We're going to keep it going that way. And fill that top part in and keep brushing. Okay, and with the edge, I'm going to go this direction all the way down to make sure that I have a smooth line, and then I'm going to keep brushing my pony's hair. Okay, looking good. We're almost done with the hair, with the blue. Now we're going to do this bottom half right here. Make sure we leave some purple showing through so that we can show off her mane, right? But I'm using the toe of my brush now. If you want to switch to a small brush, you can for this part. I like using the toe when I paint this area. It's a little easier for me. Okay, so I'm brushing. And there we have it. We have her mane ready. And all the areas for her highlights. Make sure you have all your spots filled in. I'm ready to go for the next step. And we don't have any thick paint showing up. All right. I think our blue is done. Looks good. So we're going to rinse our brush again. Really good before we move on to our next color. All right, here's what we're going to do next. We're going to add our highlights. I'm going to double check that my brush is super clean. Super clean and ready to go. And we're going to do our highlights next. And even though you have a purple and a red highlight here, we're going to paint the whole thing red and put purple on top of the red. It gives it a fun shade. So if you're wondering why I'm covering the whole thing in red, you'll see in a minute. We're going to mix a little bit of our white with our red here in a minute to paint this whole section red. Okay, so here we go. Let's get some white here on our brush. Mix just a tiny bit, because how light do you want that highlight to be? If you want it to be a bright pink, you're going to mix more white in. If you want it more red, you want to mix more red in there. Okay, I'm going to leave it more red for mine. Here we go. We're going to paint our streak here, and you see we have this horn, right? So we don't want to paint over our horn. I'm going to start right here on this corner and go right over my horn. We're going to come back and paint that horn in a minute. Okay. But first, we're going to get this cool highlight in so it can start drying. And we're still brushing the same direction. You want to pretend that we are brushing our pony's hair, right? Keeping all of those strokes going that direction. That way, you can see all of the brush strokes like hair. So up and down, combing our pony's hair. We're going to try really hard to just paint around that corner. There we go. Up and down. Okay, remember our edges. We're going to try not to pick up our brush. I'm going to go straight across for a smooth finish. All right. We have a big red highlight there. We'll be adding purple in a minute. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on our tail and our mane. So right over here in this little corner, let's add our red. All the way up here in the corner, and I'm still brushing. I'm brushing my pony's hair all the way off my canvas. And are you wrapping your canvas? Remember to wrap your canvas all the way around. I can't do it on mine, but you can. And it really helps it look finished. Okay. There we go. Add our highlight right there. I'm trying really hard to stay in my little square here, but if I go out into my blue, it's okay. Perfectly fine. All right. Looks good. I think we're ready for the next step, you guys. So we have our red highlight in. I'm going to rinse my brush. Really good. We want to make sure we get all the red out for our next step. Okay. So rinse that brush really good. Double check it. Double check. Wipe it on your napkin, and we're going to get some purple. But this time I'm not going to mix my purple with the white. Okay. Right now we have a lot of purple mixed with white, but I'm just going to use the purple right here that isn't mixed, that we saved. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to come right over here for this highlight and do a stroke over my red. Okay. Just keep adding it over my red. Right over the top. That gives it a darker purple with that red tint in it, which is what we want. You have to decide how big you want it to be too. I'm going to turn mine a little bit so it looks like a smiley face, so it matches up with my other bangs. Remember, our purple is translucent, so if you want it darker, you'll have to come back and add another layer in a minute, huh? We're going to let it dry for a second though, and then come back to it. Okay, and right here on this one too, we're going to add our purple. Make sure that we get just a little bit of purple in if you want. I'm going to add a little bit to the tail. You can do half of it purple, or you can just do a little bit of it. It's just highlights in Twilight's hair, right? So you can decide. Okay, let's let that dry a second. We'll come back to it. Okay, I'm going to go up here while that's drying, and we're going to add a little bit of the light purple to our horn. I'm going to come right up here, just put some light purple in that brush. We're going to put our horn in now. Try really hard to stay. Whoop. There we go. We're going to go right into our horn. See how I don't pick up my brush for that corner? Go all the way around. Go. Okay, the reason I'm doing this, I'm going to put another layer of purple on there. So it's okay if you touch your purple. We're going to come back over it in a minute. But this way it stands out from your hair. It's going to cover up any hair that may be in your horn. Your horn really stands out now. Okay, so we're going to let that horn sit there. Okay, I'm going to put a little more dark purple on my brush. Here we go. Just the dark purple. I'm going to come back here to my red. We're going to put one more layer on. See how it's a little darker now? There we go. And that way you can cover up that horn. Make sure it looks just the way you want. Okay. Add a little bit more down here to her tail. And to her mane. All right. Make it as dark as you want. The more layers you add, the darker it'll be. So you can just keep on adding layers until you are happy with it. Purple is just a little trickier that way, but we want to make it a little darker than the rest of our little pony hair. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's let that dry a second. Let's get up here on this corner, make sure. Perfect. Okay. We got our mane on, so now we're going to rinse our brush really good here. Rinse it up. We have our first layer on. And now we're ready to let it dry for just a minute. We're going to let it dry while we do our background. So I've rinsed my big brush again, made sure it's all clean and ready for the next step. My background is turquoise. So you can see I have turquoise and white right here. And I'm going to mix those together because I want my background really light turquoise. You can kind of decide how dark you want it, depending on how much turquoise you mix in that white. All right? The more white, the lighter it'll be. And I want mine pretty light, about like that. And I'm just kind of patting it around because I love to have a little bit of dark and white mixed in there. I get lots of different strokes in my paint, which I love. And let's just go for it. We're going to start going up and down, filling our canvas, filling all that space. Make sure you have enough water in your paint if you feel like it's not going on very well. Sometimes you just need to add a little bit of water because your paint might be seizing up from sitting there for some time now. And water is our best friend when it comes to acrylics. It just loosens it right back up. And we can get right back to painting. Okay? I'm trying really hard not to touch my pony because we worked on that and we want to keep it that way. Okay, let's just keep loading our brush, painting all the way around our canvas here. Okay. Now here's something I really like to do while I am painting my background in. I love to add some white to my brush. So as I'm painting like this, I put a little bit of white on the corner. I load it up and I like to go around my pony with the white facing my pony. That just brightens it up near her, makes her a little more magical. If you want to try that, you can. And then I let those white strokes just land where they land as I go. You can kind of see how we have streaks all in our background. And that is awesome. I love that. So we're just going to keep going. As you come around your pony, go nice and slow so we don't touch her too much, right? It's okay if we touch her a little bit. No big deal. But we just want to try and keep her from getting our background color in. Okay. There we go. And you see my streaks of white in there? I love that. I'm just going to leave those alone. There we go. Carefully go around. We want our background to dry really good before we do her eyes because she has some fun eyelashes. So we're going to get this background in first. And make sure you don't have any chunks of paint showing up. We want those to dry. Okay. Leave those streaks in there. Those are fun. Going all the way up here. Almost there. We're going to go all the way around the head here. See how I'm putting the white towards my pony. Going around the horn, and around the ear. Keep going all the way up. There we go. Wrap the top of your canvas, reach up and paint the top so you can finish it off. And reach around the sides and finish the sides. Okay. That way it's all done. So take the time to do that, even though I'm not. I want to make sure those are done. All right. Got a little bit in my hair. We got a little highlight happening. That's totally good. Okay. I like it. So once you have your background in, I want to rinse our brush again really good. Okay, make sure it's really clean. Making sure that's really clean. All right, here we go. We're gonna do a couple fun things. I'm gonna show you a few tricks. Before we put our eye in, I'm gonna take my big flat brush and add a shadow under my bank, okay? And the way you do that is we're gonna float, and this is tricky stuff, so if you wanna try it, go for it. Super proud of you for giving it a shot. I'm gonna put a little bit of purple just on the corner of my brush. And we're gonna follow the bottom of our bangs here. See how it adds just a little bit of shadow there? It's just an extra thing to help it look like it's not flat on our canvas. Gives it some dimension. So I'm going to add that shadow right under her bang. You can make it as dark as you want. Put the shadow there, and then I'm going to put a little bit under her neck as well. Right there where her head turns, okay? Right there. You just kind of brush it in. Just like that. Brush it down. The goal is to have it a little bit darker, just right under the head and right under the bangs, okay? Anywhere else you want. I like to take the leftovers on my brush and just brush it in places. Okay, just gives our painting some character and some dimension to it. Okay, once that's done, we're gonna put our eye in. So make sure your brush is super clean, because once we move to white, it'll show everything. So let's make sure your brush is super clean and ready for this. I'm gonna load it up with white. We're gonna paint our eyeball in. Okay, here we go. All the way around, trying not to pick up my brush as I go around the corner. That's really tricky. Just give it your best shot. We're gonna go all the way around there, clean up our little circle there, or oval. It's actually an oval. Go all the way around. And see how I came out a little bit just to make sure I got my shape there the way I want. Okay. Perfect. We're gonna let that dry a minute. Okay, so let's rinse this brush. We're gonna move on to a new brush now. So we wanna make sure this is really clean before we switch our brushes around. You wanna make sure we don't leave our brushes full of paint, right? And keep those clean. Okay, so let's switch our brushes around. I am now going to use a small detail brush. It looks like this, really small, right? Small brush. We love this brush for lots of little work, but we want to take care of this one because it can get a bad hair day really fast, right? If we scrub with it. So I'm going to be really careful with it, but I want to start adding my outlines and my detail before I put my lashes in. So I'm just going to take my dark purple. It's not mixed with white. You just want to take your leftover dark purple, okay? Not mixed with anything. And we are going to first outline our horn. So let's go up here and outline our horn. Carefully following the edges just to make it darker around my horn. There we go. All the way around. We're following it, cleaning up the edges, helping that horn really stand out. Okay, then I'm going to add some smiley faces on our horn. And these smiley faces make our horn look round, right? If we do a straight line across, our horn will look flat. So we want to make sure we do a smiley face. Okay, I'm also going to come over here now to my highlight and outline my highlight. Make sure you have it just the way you want. I'm going to outline the bang right here. See, as you put your purple on there, really darkens it next to the red. I'm going to outline the top part. Just make sure that highlight is purple and ready to go. Cleared up. Okay, so we got our highlight on there. Now I'm going to come over to this ear and we're going to outline our ear all the way around. Just follow it. I'm going to come around the top. Keep going. I want to try really hard to find a place on your canvas that you can maybe rest your wrist a little bit. That helps with our outlining. Because you have to have a steady hand, right? It gets a little tricky to do our outlining. Just remember when you're outlining, it's all about how hard you're pushing on your brush. And it's okay. Your lines might be really thick, they might be really small. The goal is to try and go all the way around without picking up your brush. Okay, so just do your very best. And once I do that, I'm going to add my smile right down the middle of my ear. See that? Suddenly the ear comes to life. So add your little smile there. Okay, and we're going to keep outlining our head. Coming all the way around as far as I can without picking up my brush. Right, now her head is going to come all the way around. We're just making one big circle. So we're going to keep going all the way around. There we go. And we already have our shadow. So I'm going to come over here to this side and fill it in. Right up there. Keep going around. A pony. Go all the way around. Almost there. It is tricky doing circles, but we're going to do our best. If you want, you can hold your canvas. That really helps me. So when I'm doing circles like this and outlining, I like to hold my canvas and shift it. I like to move it around as I go. So you don't have to leave it in one position as you're doing this. You can move it. That is perfectly okay. I'm also going to add some outline right here to the edge of my mane, just to help it stand out a little bit as I go. Okay. And also, remember, we're going to outline our highlight here too, or purple. Make sure it has that last layer. If you want, you can just do that right now. Make sure it's all cleaned up and you have a good line. This detail brush is our best friend when it comes to lines. It gets it in for us. Okay, I think we outlined everything. Looks really good. So let's rinse our brush. We are almost there. Rinse our brush. Okay, let's go right back up here to our eyes. And I'm going to use some black now. And we're going to put some black on our detail brush. Make sure you add some water to your black. If you don't, it might be a little thick, and we want our black to move for these eyes really well. You want it inky, just like if you were using a pen. Your ink is really smooth. We want our black to be like that too. Okay. All right, so here we go. First thing we're going to do is put the oval in our eye. And I'm going to shape it with this brush. So you got to decide, where do you want that oval to be? I'm going to start mine right here on this corner. Okay. You can always start small and then add more later. I'm going to have her looking this direction. So I'm putting my oval just like that. And then I like to outline the edge too, just to make sure it's nice and clean. As clean as I can, right? And then we're going to fill it in nice and smooth. Make sure we don't have thick paint there. I want to keep this nice and smooth, okay? All the way around. And you can make this oval bigger or smaller. It just depends on what you want, right? Okay, now we're going to outline an eyelid on our pony. And our eyelid is going to start about 1/3 of the way down of our eye right here. I'm going to come around our eye, just like that, all the way over. And we're going to get all the way down to this black eye ball right there. Okay? We're going to meet up with that, and I'm going to now bring this up a little higher. That's why we always start small, because you can make it bigger if you want. Okay. Whew, we got that on. Good work, guys. That was tricky. You can have that eyelash as big as you want. Okay, I'm gonna have a little wink over here for my little pony. I'm gonna give her a wink, but if you want to add another eye, you can. You can do whatever you want to your little pony. I have seen our artists do all kinds of things. You can have 2 eyes, you can have 2 winks, you can have 1 wink. I'm gonna do 1 wink right now so you can follow along, or you can do it a little different. We're gonna act like we're putting a smiley face right here, okay? So we're gonna start right in the middle, under her red, right here. And it starts just almost the middle of her eye, okay? We're gonna give her a wink. Here we go. And I know it always scares me too to do this, but we're gonna go for it. Here we go. We're just gonna make this wink come all the way up, just like that. Okay, we gave her a wink. Good work. Now I want the end to be a little thinner, just like that. I'm gonna thin that one out a little bit. Now is the fun part. We got to give her some eyelashes. This is my favorite part. So I'm going to curl her eyelashes just like I'm doing a smiley face. See that? I just curled it. And every time I do a lash, it's going to get a little taller. I'm going to press down and get a little bit taller. And then we're going to press down and get a little taller with this one too. Okay, see that? If you want to come back and thicken up the bottom part, you can. I like to do that sometimes to give it some character. All right, she's got some good eyelashes. Can't wait to see yours. And then we're gonna go over here to our pony's other eye and give her eyelashes over here too. Okay, so this one, remember, it's the tallest one, okay? We get smaller as we come down, and see how I'm shaping it into a smiley shape? We want to kind of curve our eyelashes. So I'm curving it as I go, but this one's my tallest one. Okay, now I have one more right here. This one's a little bit smaller than the rest of them. Here we go. And then she has 3 more just right down here on the bottom of her eye. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to curve those a little bit too. Oh, I had some wet paint. All right. I like it. I think we're going to leave that alone now and move to our hair. So we're going to add some more highlights to our hair using our detail brush still. So I'm going to come right up here to our hair and give her some fun lines with our black. Okay, so I'm going to start right here on the corner. We have to stop because we have our horn right there. So I'm going to stop and come back over here and curve it like I'm doing a smiley face again. That way it makes her hair look round, right? Like her head's round, falling down in her face. And here's another one right next to it. Same thing, curl it across, try and follow it straight across. Come all the way around. And there's those highlights for us, right there. She has another one on this side. Okay, same thing, we're following our red right here. Our red highlight, and curving it right there. Isn't that fun? Let's do some over here too in her mane. So I'm going to curve it right here. You can put these wherever you want. And put one right there. Okay, and then we have one going right over here, top of her tail. Remember how we talked about our brush stroke going this direction? So we still want to do that with our outlining too. And our highlights, we want to curve it so it looks like the brush is going that direction. Okay, all right. Looking pretty good, guys. Let's rinse our brush really good. Make sure it's super clean so we can move on to the next step. Really clean, and I'm going to use the same brush, but we're going to switch to white. So you really want to make sure this brush is clean and ready. So I'm going to get some white on my brush now, and let's put a smiley face on our pony. I'm going to come right here, right underneath her eye, and we're just going to literally make a smiley face, okay? So first we're going to do one here. Little smiley. You can do it as big as you want to. And underneath, I'm going to put another little smiley that connects. Just like that. And we're going to fill it in. Okay. And you guys, you've almost done it. We're almost there. You've done a good job, I'm sure. Please send us your pictures, okay? I want to see them all. I want to see all the ponies. All right. So if you got purple on your canvas like I did right there, just use that white. Cover it right up. Okay, let's add some highlights. While we have white on our brush, we're gonna let our mouth dry for a minute. I'm gonna come right up here to the ear. This is one of my favorite parts. It just kind of finishes it up and brightens up our painting. I'm gonna come right up here to the top of our horn to give it a shine. Add a little curve there, and one here. And we're gonna add some to our bangs here. A little highlight right there. And some more right here. And then right along the hair too, just to show off our highlights. One there And one right along the top here. Just like that. That looks pretty good. I think we're gonna leave that alone. Okay, rinse our brush again. Really good. Okay. All right, I'm going to finish up my tail. Let's put some dark blue on that brush. Okay, we're just gonna separate it now. So right here, I have my tail coming down. I'm gonna highlight that with just dark blue. Follow your line all the way from your tail around your mane. See that? I'm gonna highlight my mane. Or not highlight, sorry. We are actually outlining, not highlighting. My bad. Okay, you're gonna outline that part. And we're gonna follow it all the way down just to clean it up there. Outline that part. And then right here, where your tail separates there, we'll outline it. You can also come over here and outline the edges if you want, if you feel like cleaning them up. That is optional, just if you want to, okay? You can just take the dark blue. I haven't mixed it with white or anything. And that just cleans up anything that might be bothering you. It may be perfect and you won't want to do this. Okay? It's just an extra step if you want to. Okay. You can do the same thing up here with your bangs. You can come up here and you can outline them and clean them up. Do the edges. Right along here. Same with the top if you want to. Okay? Remember to wrap your canvas and check your edges. It's all finished. All right, check around your horn and make sure there's no outlining that needs to be done there. Go right along the edge of the top. Outline it with dark. Okay, let's rinse our brush really good and put our nose in. We're gonna grab just the purple, right, for our nose. Just the dark purple. And our nose is the easiest nose you've ever done. You ready? We're going to do a little rainbow shape right here next to our eye. Okay, right here in the middle. You're just gonna do a little rainbow shape. Up and back down, just like that. There's your nose. And then we can do these two little shapes underneath it. You know, how little horsies have. Do that right underneath the nose. Okay. And then you can outline your mouth with that dark purple if you want to. We're going to add a little bit of outlining. And that way it stands out really well. Make sure you have the purple, the right purple. I grabbed purple mixed with white. We don't want that. You want to make sure you have the right purple there to outline your pony's mouth. And remember with purple, if you want it really dark, you have to add another layer, right? Okay, so now one of my favorite parts, we're going to add the sparkle to the eye to really help it stand out. So I'm going to grab my biggest brush and flip it over. Okay, we're going to flip it over and use the back of it to get that chocolate chip. Get a chocolate chip with that white. Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, that's what I wanted. There we go. We're going to put our chocolate chip right here in our eye. Got a big circle there. And you can make it as big as you want. That's her sparkle, okay? And then I have one more smaller one just here next to it. Okay, just like that. All right, last thing, guys. Last thing to add to our pony. Well, besides our final thing, but this is it for the pony. Okay, I'm gonna put dark purple on my brush, my detail brush, my smallest one. Okay, make sure you add one more layer around your mouth so it's nice and dark. So it'll stand out for you. And then you're gonna come right here because your black should be dry in your eye now. It should be dry. We're gonna come right here and add this purple highlight right along the edge of her eye. Okay. And you can make it as big as you want to. But this is her purple highlight in her eye. All right. So cute, you guys. I love it. Okay, so now that you've finished, the most important thing to do is to sign your name, right? Because we worked really hard today on this pony. And because we're proud of our work, we're gonna sign our name. So we're gonna come right over here, find a special little spot for it. I like to sign my name along the side of my paintings, or I find a little hidden place, and I use a little tiny brush to do it. It's a lot easier when I use a smaller brush. Okay. And there you have it. Good job, you guys. Way to go. Please share your ponies with us so we can see, okay? Because we want to see all those ponies, and we hope to see you really soon in our studio. Bye.